Hello and welcome to yet another episode of In My Mind. I'd like to thank all of my returning listeners. Obviously, I said something that affected you in a major way, and for that, I am very, very grateful. To all of my new listeners, I hope that I will have the same effect on you. So, right now, we are about to embark on a new journey into a new series that I'm calling My Heart Stinks, which is going to deal with some of the things that we deal with, day to day, talking about issues of the heart and a damaged heart and how our damaged hearts can affect our everyday life. So I thought it only appropriate to kind of give a little background, little backstory on myself. So let me just start at age 10 because that's really when things started to go wrong in my life. So at age 10, because I had two loving parents, wonderful mother, wonderful father, and I had a sister who lived with me. We pretty much had a great childhood um, until my dad started back drinking. Apparently, before my sister and myself were born, my dad was a heavy drinker. He would cause all type of problems. Um, just a very bad guy when he drank. I just put it that way. Just a very bad guy. Um, so fast forward to um me being age 10. My dad started drinking again, and my sister and I began to witness uh a total 180 of my father. Uh, he went from being a loving, kind man to a wild, loud, disrespectful animal. He became physical with my mother. He would break things, play music loud all times of the night, outside acting the fool, inside the house acting the fool, um, drinking and driving, uh, making me ride with him. Um, it was just an all around bad situation. During that time, he also would cheat on my mother, and that's when things really began to get bad for me. Um, because I guess it's true when they say if you look like your father, then your mom can be bitter towards you because you look like your father. So I began to receive punishments for what he did. Even though I was just an innocent little boy, I received punishment for what he did. I was called all types of names. I remember being called stupid about every day. I was called stupid so much I thought my name was stupid. I was verbally abused, physically abused, put down, and in the midst of all of that, I ended up getting sick and becoming a diabetic. When I found out I was sick, they kind of put a pause on the bad stuff because I was actually so sick that I was about to check out this world. So my dad kind of got it together for a few minutes until I was able to get out the hospital, recover and all that good stuff. So let's fast forward a little bit. So my dad drank so much, he lost the job. He acted a fool, so he went on the job drunk, and he lost the job, and we were on the brink of losing our house. It was about to go into foreclosure. So my mother moved me and my sister in with my grandmother. So we lived there for a little while, and I was just beginning middle school. Going from elementary school to middle school is a culture shock anyway. Kids are bigger, grown their mindsets, wilder. It was just a totally different world from elementary school. So I was going into unknown territory, and I was messed up in the mind and didn't know it because I was just a child. I didn't understand, you know, I didn't understand how when the damaged heart and hurting all this stuff. I didn't understand that, but I began to get in trouble, fighting a lot, disrespecting teachers, the whole nine. I I almost caught my first felony charge when I was 12 years old. Fighting, and I took it too far, and I almost mortally can't even get the word out, but I could have fatally injured the person. Um, that's when things kind of got a little real for me, and I kind of started to realize that I may have some anger issues going on. Um, so at that point, my mom, she got me some counseling and all that good stuff. Now I will say this: my mother wasn't a bad person. Even then, I understood that everything she did to me, and say it, she didn't mean it per se, but because of her damaged heart, she didn't know how to deal with things, so she made some bad decisions. I will still honestly say I still had a loving mother, but that's part of forgiveness, and that's later on in the series. But anyway, um, so during that same year, maybe a few months later, I'm at school, still acting the fool, and I go home, and actually, let me backtrack. This one particular night, me and my mother had got into it. I was, like I said, I was real angry, so I was tired of being called names. I was tired of being mistreated. I had enough. I actually told her to drop dead. Um, but I tried to, make it better and, ask forgiveness, because I know I say stuff I shouldn't have said. But then the very next day, I remember getting on the bus and she's saying, "Bye, baby." I'm like, "Bye, mom." And I remember going to school and acting a plump fool. I mean, I was just totally out of it. I was wild. But after school, got out the bus, walked home, went in the door. I see my mother sitting in the chair. For some reason, I don't know why my mother thought it was funny, but she would always play dead. Like when we got home from school, we be like, "Stop playing, man. You ain't dead. Get up." And she'll open her eyes and start laughing. Um, so when I seen her sitting in the chair, I thought it was the same thing. I thought she was just joking around and messing around. But then I realized she was dead. So I'm like, "Oh man." So went upstairs, got my cousin, got help and all that stuff and the whole nine. Cops came and all that stuff, and firemen came and all that stuff, and they couldn't revive her, and they pronounced her dead in the scene. So I just fast forward a little bit. Um, from then on until I became like eight to my high teen, like 17, 18. I was very, very angry. I didn't know how to positively deal with my anger. Thank God that I was a musician. I did play the keyboard, play the drums, and the choir teacher and the band director took a special liking to me. So a lot of times I would, skip class and stuff, and I would find myself in the music room all the time. And the band director, I guess he caught me playing the keyboard one time, and he wanted me to play in the band. He wanted to be on the drum line. So, make a long story short, they had a pep rally, and he told me to come in and learn the cadence. And from then on, I was on the drum line. So that was part of an escape for me. The music, it kept me out of trouble, kept me out of jail. It kept me from really making a whole lot of bad decisions that I would have definitely regret it at this point in my life. Um, let's fast forward a little bit to when major issues started coming with me. I mean, major issues started showing up in my life. I met my wife, sweetest things can be. She's still sweet to this day. We got together. We got married. I was 18 years old. I had no idea what it meant to be a husband. I thought I knew for some reason, like all young people, all 18-year-olds do. They think they know every daggone thing. I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew what a wife should be and how she should be and all that stuff. But I found myself having just, I found myself not able to really, I don't know how to explain. I found myself not being able to be a husband. Because one, I didn't know how. Number two, I was young as crap. So everything, every problem that we had or every issue that arose, I always took it a step further. If it was a small issue, I made it a huge issue. If it was a small argument, I made it volcano big. It's because of my damaged heart and all that I've been through. Like I said, even though my mom, she didn't mean the stuff that she said, but it still affected me though. So I kind of, my family back up too also. Also my family, they always treated me weird. Even to this day, they treat me real weird. Like back then, it's like they didn't really care for me that much. They didn't interact with me. I remember sitting in the room. This is after my mom died as well. I remember sitting in the room, maybe the rest of my cousins, somebody to come in the room or come in the door, come in the house and speak to everybody and look at me and keep walking. So I never felt welcome in my own family. If we had a function, we ate together like Thanksgiving or whatnot, I always stayed by myself because they never interacted with me. Back then, I didn't know why. Now I do because they weird and I'm normal. I realize I'm normal, they're not. But that's part of later on in the series. Probably later on in the series. That's part of something I'm going to talk about later in the series. Let's get back to where I was about the marriage thing. So here I am, 18 years old, married, and as dumb as a pack of cigarettes. And not intellectually dumb. I mean dumb because I couldn't comprehend. I wasn't mature enough to be a husband at that point. Now I wasn't crazy, throwing my wife out the windows. I wasn't, doing stuff like that. But I wasn't mature like I am now. I didn't know how to deal with issues. I didn't know how to walk away. I didn't know how to shut up. When it came time to do that, I didn't know how to de-escalate situations. I didn't know how to talk to my wife. I didn't know how to respect my wife as a woman. So I daggone sure didn't know how to respect her as my wife. I just didn't know. But it took it took it took years for me to understand why I was the way that I was. I didn't realize how messed up I was. And they always say the first step to rehab is when you admit that you have a problem. But see, I couldn't admit that I had a problem because I didn't know what the problem was. I didn't even think I had a problem. I thought that the way that I acted and the way that I responded to things, I thought that was normal because that was my normal growing up. I didn't know that I was talking and reacting out of hurt and fear. I had no idea. So I would say probably about going into the first year of my marriage when things started to take a turn. My wife and I was going to this church and the pastor would really take time to talk to us and counsel us. So it brought light to what I was dealing with. And the one thing that I love about this pastor is she actually talked about the issues of the heart. See, a lot of times in church back then, they didn't talk about the issues of the heart. They will always talk about the norm. Now I call them just basic grazing messages. We know about Paul, we know about David, we know about Daniel, but how are the books of the Bible and the stories of the Bible? How are they relevant to us today? And she made it so. So after being a part of her ministry, I began to hunger to know more and more about dealing with the issues of the heart. I know you're supposed to give your heart to God and He will heal your heart, but I was like, how? How does that process work? Because I pray and I'm still, feeling the same thing. I mean, I'm still angry. I'm still upset. I'm still mad. And at this point, I'm not really talking to my dad at this point. I didn't really want to have anything to do with him. He was still drinking, acting a fool, acting crazy, you know. And at that point I hadn't seen him in over 10 years at that point. So just to go back to where I was, I'm gonna get sidetracked. So I was learning how to deal with itches in my heart because my pastor at the time opened me up. I mean, she opened me up wide with the whole dealing with issues. So I would say that I am really grateful that we were at that ministry at that point in time. It didn't solve everything. Everything didn't stop. The problems in my marriage, it didn't stop. It may have quieted down a little bit. It may have, doused the flames a little bit. But we still had some issues. We still clashed a lot. We still argued a lot. Divorce, the word divorce was still used a lot. But we were making some progress. Fast forward years later, our marriage really took a turn for the better, for the best, really. Because, at this point now, we're maturing, probably about, maybe about the 6th or 7th year. That's a long time to be going through stupid stuff. But by the 6th or 7th year, things started, taking a turn because before we were arguing about stupid stuff. I mean, so stupid. I mean, it was just minuscule, but hey, we argued about it. If it was dumb, we argued about it. That was just us. That was just the norm. Now, on the flip side, it was crazy because it was like 50, it was like one side, we loved and adored each other and we loved being around each other. We'd go out, have a good time. Even after a bad argument, we'd be like, yo, you want to get a burger and some pizza? We'd be like, yeah, let's go. But we still found ourselves 50-50. Argue like crazy, then go out and have a good time. Argue like crazy, go out and have a good time. It wasn't a balanced life, and it drove us both crazy. And see, years later, I now understand that it's my job as the head of the household, as the husband, the priest of my home, to set the atmosphere and the environment for my home. So I had to learn how to really give my heart to God, or yeah, I'm right. Cause I'm still in the process. It's an everyday process. Life is an everyday process. We shouldn't say all my life. I'm gonna say all I want. So at this point, I'm learning how to deal with my issues. I'm learning the thing that really formed a turning point for me in my marriage was learning the difference between feelings and reality. You see, when your heart is damaged, everything's gonna feel like everything and everybody's against you. And no matter what people say, you are always gonna misconstrue it and you're gonna lash out at them even when they mean absolutely no harm. And that's what I was doing in my marriage and doing it on the job. I couldn't keep a job because I was so messed up that every time somebody said something to me, that was it. I'm ready to bust some heads. Now I understand that the damaged heart can give you a misperception. And I know you guys have heard me say this before. If you had a wrong perception, your judgment will be clouded. And if your judgment is clouded, you are always going to have the wrong perspective. And if you have the wrong perspective 100% of the time, you, my friend, are screwed in this thing called life because you're going to do everything but backwards. You're going to be totally messed up. So now, if my wife and I are conversing about something or she say something that sounds spooky, I will ask, first of all, the thought of my mind, I know the thing, I know I'm like to go here in my mind, like, no, she loves me. This ain't the way. She don't mean it this way. This ain't the way she mean it. And now I'm mature enough to go and ask her, hey, this is what you said, and this is what it sounded like. I don't want to misunderstand something and cause the issue when you didn't mean to say it a certain way. So now we encourage each other to do that. I tell her, hey, and a lot of times she still be saying, I feel like this, I feel like you said, I feel like you saying that. I told her, look, don't come to me with anything. Don't come to me with that I feel like stuff. I'm like, I need to know what's going on. If I said something, say it how I said it. Tell me what it sounded like, and we can go from there. Because a lot of times we feel like people are saying something, and we feel like people are doing something, or we feel like something looks like something and it's not. And it causes a whole issue, a whole argument, a whole fight, a whole divorce off something that you thought. So many people have had issues with their siblings or their best friends for years. And 30 years later, they finally talk about it. And they saying, well, this is what it looked like. This is what it seemed like. This is what it felt like. And the person like, no, that's not what happened. That's not that wasn't said. That wasn't it. That that I feel like stuff, that stuff will kill. That's a killer statement right there. I feel like that is a killer statement. Once again, when it comes to matters of the heart, you are going to always feel like something is damaged. So with this episode, I know it's not as long and it's not as deep as I really wanted to go, but I hope, given my backstory, I hope that it was able to help somebody out there. I'm not a doctor myself, but I do recommend that you go talk to somebody, go talk to a therapist. Christian people get that messed up. They think that just because they're Christian, they can just, go to God and, that's all they need to do. And I tell people, look, God has given man the ability to do a lot of things. And God has given man the ability to go to school and to study the mind and the whole psychology behind the mind and how it works. Go talk to somebody. Go talk to a professional. I know it might seem weird at first. I've been to a few, but go talk to a therapist. And if you really don't want to go talk to a therapist, go talk to your pastor. Because you need to get it out. That's the first step to being free. letting it all out so you can breathe and you can actually see what you need to deal with. And as you peel back that layer, because it's like an onion, as you peel back layers, you will start to feel the release and the relief as you progress through the whole process. So thank you so much for listening. This has been another episode of In My Mind.